Welcome to Sketchbook Podcast, a discussion about inspiration and process with artists, creators, and designers. I'm your host, Daniel Montoya Jr. The year was 1987. Ronald Reagan was president, a gallon of gas cost 90 cents, and Platoon was the Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards. And on Monday, March 9th, 1987, U2 released their studio album, The Joshua Tree. Oh, and a young man by the name of Evan Christopher VanDoren came into this world in Gibbsboro, New Jersey. Evan, or EVD, as he is known as to his barber, is a freelance arranger, composer, designer, and educational consultant living in the greater Austin, Texas area. After graduating with honors from Butler University in Indianapolis, Indiana, Evan joined the band staff at Cedar Park High School. During his tenure, Cedar Park's marching band was named a UIL Texas State Marching Champion 3 times, as well as a BOA Grand National Finalist twice. Evan has been involved in the drum corps community since 2001, marching in the Lehigh Valley Knights from 2001 to 2003 and the Carolina Crown from 2004 to 2008, concluding his DCI experience as drum major in 2008. Since then, he has served on the faculties of the Blue Stars Drum and Bugle Corps, the Madison Scouts Drum and Bugle Corps, and the Carolina Crown Drum and Bugle Corps. This year, 2019, he was named the brass arranger for the Santa Clara Vanguard Drum and Bugle Corps. Additionally, Evan enjoys working as a leadership facilitator for Sassy Leadership based out of Leander, Texas. Currently, he lives in Cedar Park, Texas with his wife, Catherine, and their dog, Cooper. Evan, on a scale of the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl, how excited are you to be the first guest on this podcast?
Clearly more towards the Eagles. Clearly.
Yes, and unlike Dallas Cowboy fans, you can remember what it's like to celebrate a Super Bowl championship. Yes?
I do. It's very present in my mind because it was just a year or two ago, whereas most of my Dallas Cowboys friends weren't alive. I don't think many of them weren't alive. Some of them weren't alive.
Yeah. It's like being an Aggie fan. The last time they won something was before World War II, I believe. Now, Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are the heir to the VanDoren Reed's empire, correct?
I wish I could say that that's true, but that is not the case. No.
Oh, seems my notes are incorrect. I'll be going after the research team on that one. So, before we get into the nitty gritty, for the folks listening to us at home, in their cars, guarding bathrooms during standardized tests, I would like you to describe in excruciating detail what shoes you are wearing.
The shoes that I'm wearing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
see, what kind of podcast do you think this would be?
I'm gonna describe them very poorly by your standards. I'm sure. I am wearing Adidas shoes.
That's nice. The 3 stripes.
There are 3 stripes. They have like a brown sole and they're white leather.
Yeah.
And I don't know what style you would say that they are. They have 2 blue stripes and a red stripe. White shoelaces.
Oh.
And that is sort of the degree to which I can describe the shape and contour.
Would you call it a low top or a mid top?
I would call it a low top.
Yes. Is it a
Thank you
special, a samba?
for leading the witness here. Probably more like a samba.
Oh,
More like a samba.
Yeah, so it's got a gum rubber outsole, perhaps?
Yes, that's exactly
there
what
it is.
Like
a EVA midsole, like your standard rubber white. Gotcha.
Yes.
That's okay. That's very, and it works with the outfit you're wearing. Evan is wearing a very smart button-down short sleeve shirt, neatly pressed, especially around the neck area. It's navy blue with white dots everywhere. Yes, his hair, for anyone listening who remembers Evan's hair as he's a band director, is very nicely combed and coiffed. His barber is very proud of him today. Yeah, so good for you, Evan. Now, Evan, let's talk about Disney. Walter Elias Disney. According to my records, you have been to Walt Disney World or Land 972 times. Like, wow.
That's approximately.
Correct, yes. Do you love the Dole Whip that much, or is it something else? Maybe the desire to finally stay in the suite atop Cinderella's castle.
Both of those things are really awesome. But although I can only speak to one firsthand.
The Cinderella's castle?
Obviously, yes.
Of course,
obviously, yeah. No. But no, it's God. My family just loves Disney. I mean, we grew up a lot going there. It was one of those things where in the early 90s, after my sister was born, my parents were looking for some way for us to routinely vacation somewhere that made sense, that was of a high value and all that. And Disney came out with this thing called the Disney Vacation Club at that time, which was a great deal. It was like it was a timeshare essentially, right? So you'd buy points and, it would allow you to go every single year. But at that time, they were also giving you like park tickets. It was like free meals. It was like an insane value. Mm-hmm. Now it's, everyone knows about it. So it's not quite as good of a value and it's a lot more expensive. But at the time, it was a really easy way for us to call. We would all just kind of pile in the car. We lived in New Jersey at the time. So we would drive down I-95. We would, pack PB&Js. We did the whole thing for as cheap as possible, and we would just go every single year. So as a result, we kind of like grew up there. We have just a lot of like really good family memories that are associated with that. And, so every time we go back or I go back, all those memories come flooding back. And then if you go with people who haven't been before or sort of creating their own beginning of that family memory, that's always really special too. So you're describing that you're like a hipster to the Disney Vacation Club, OG, if you will, right? You might say, yes. Your membership card is literally like laminated paper, and everyone else's. That's exactly right. Wow, yes. Now, quick, tell me, what does the monorail message say in Spanish? Go. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Oh my God, you did it! That's fantastic. See? I had to research that. I don't know if the dialect is exactly right. But what's interesting is manténgase. That one's tough. That one's tough to say. Manténganse. And because the accent, manténgase. Yeah, that guy. Is it the same one for the last like 30 years? I don't know. It's the same. It seems like it's the same recording to me. I don't know. Yeah. Did you know what yesterday was? What? That's the anniversary of Walt Disney World opening, October 1st. I did know that. Yes, I did know that. Happy belated Disney World Day. Yeah, it's a great day. Now mentioned in your bio, and you talked about it earlier, you were born in New Jersey. Yes, and yet you root for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm very confused as to that. Why are you rooting for the Jets, Jets? Because the Eagles were close. Okay, so listen, geography, right? Sure, so, I'm in Texas. Remember, yeah, we're in Austin Texas, right now. So like everything is a million miles away from itself, right? Correct. But in the Northeast, everything's a lot closer. So I lived in southern New Jersey. It was really a suburb of Philadelphia, though. Really? Like even though there was a state border there, like it was still congregated around. Kind of like how St. Louis is. Like there's There's communities on either side of the state lines there. So that's pretty much why. My grandfather was a huge Eagles fan. Okay. So that was sort of like our thing. And, and no one in my immediate family was as into it as I am, but that was something that I really connected with. And all of my friends that I grew up with at the time around there were Eagles fans. So that was sort of what I did. And the Jets are much further north. The Giants much further north. I mean, it's they share a stadium with the Giants, right? Right. The Jets, so they've got to be close to Manhattan. So right, exactly. Right. Yeah, so, I don't understand. That's why. I don't understand northeastern geography. Really, any other geography than Texas. I don't know if you know this, but I love the state of Texas. I am aware of that. I also love the state of Texas. Do you? I love everything about it except for the Dallas Cowboys. Oh man, I agree. I'm a self-proclaimed Cowboys hater. I'm one of those. Why do you think I agreed to do this podcast in the first place? Because we're going to talk bad about the Cowboys. You know what? They lost this weekend. They did. Best weekend ever. The Dem Boys lost to Who Dat to slightly grating chants by their fans. But, hey, anytime the Cowboys lose is a good day in this house. It's a great weekend. The Aggies barely won. So that's kind of like a loss to me. So, whatever. All right. Let's get serious now. Not okay. Really, sure. Yeah, right. Okay. Feel free to choose which adjective or adjectives you wish to answer with this next question. How excited, nervous, thrilled, anxious, terrified, humbled, blessed are you to be the brass arranger for the Vanguard of Santa Clara? Probably most of those things. I mean, obviously it's a huge honor. There's a certain gravity to having that opportunity that I certainly don't take lightly, and I'm mostly really excited, obviously a little nervous, as comes with any big opportunity. At its core, I just want to do right by the people who are putting their trust in me, like there's adults and students who are relying on me to create something that's special, and I just want to, I'm going to do everything that I can do to deliver that. I will say that, it's been about a month since it's been announced and maybe 6 weeks since I've been sort of entertaining and talking about it. And I feel an incredible amount of support from the design team and the teaching staffs and even many of the members who I've spoken with already. It's been really, really cool. To feel that support. It makes me feel more confident about, me doing my best work. But it is on some level terrifying. And I think anyone who would take on an opportunity like this at any experience level, to say that they were not at least a little bit nervous or scared about it would just be lying, quite frankly.
For sure. For sure. Now, can you describe what it was like to read that email or get that phone call and it's like, hey, I'm Michael Gaines. I've won every activity world that can ever be named, and I want you to come work for the Vanguard. Like, I don't know if that's how it went, but like what went through your mind immediately? Like, did you flush red? Did you vomit instantly? Like, what was that like?
I think I did a lap around my house after I took the phone. To be honest, I wasn't expecting that opportunity at all. I got a phone call from Scott Coda, the program coordinator,
who himself has won DCI multiple times with the Cavaliers and then recently with the Vanguard.
Yes, just there are a lot of questions initially. There's the for anybody when they're approached with an opportunity, there's the why. Why me? Why do you? So I had a lot of those kind of questions. But I really enjoyed talking to Scott early on about all those things, and had good conversations with each of the members of the design team. And over the course of all those conversations, I came to understand why the skills that I bring to the table, why that is really, I think, is a good fit for that team of people and what they're trying to create. So. But initially I had all those questions of why? I mean, the reality is there's a lot more experienced people out there than me. So,
right.
So why?
Yeah.
So why?
Than a lot of us out there. Yeah, for sure.
But no, that was kind of my initial reaction.
Now in the announcement, it seems like and many people have hashtagged some variation of Santa Clara VanDoren. But you get to come to the drum corps not only with your father, but your wife, Catherine VanDoren. So that's got to be somewhat of a security blanket to have your father and your wife there teaching, consulting, working with you on that. Like, that's an experience I don't think anybody else in the activity gets to have. Well,
I guess I'm really fortunate, because, well, first of all, I know that, on some level, my dad and my wife are going to on some level be looking out for me as their family member.
Sure.
So there's that comfort level.
Yes.
But more importantly than that, I mean, my dad's a DCI Hall of Famer.
Correct.
And my wife is just a badass teacher.
We can say that on a podcast.
She is really good at what she does. So, as the arranger, I feel a great sense of comfort that they're going to be contributing to the performance level of the brass section. Because to be honest, there's not a lot of people out there that are better than either of them, in my opinion. So that is the thing.
Correct.
That's the thing I'm the most excited
of course.
about, and with their being involved, just because they're, Katie is an unbelievable teacher.
Correct. Yeah, and your wife, and I was going to mention, I'm glad that you did. She came up through Cedar Park High School, very great high school in not only the state but the nation. Went to North Texas, March Carolina Crown, now at Vandergrift High School in Leander ISD, which they've won state marching contests. They've placed at finals just about everywhere. They're going to Grit Nationals. So you're right. She's made her own mark as a teacher. Your father is one of the most well-known names in drum corps. So they would have got these jobs without you, basically.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. For those that are listening at home, right? You make your living as an arranger, as your bio says. You make your living doing so much. Your hobby is having hobbies, right? Or your job is having jobs. My hobby is having hobbies. And you've written for high schools. You've worked with drum corps. You've taught. You've drum majored drum corps. And now this is an entirely different thing. Like, what is your mindset for those of us that are young, that are just marching drum corps, that are teaching it, that want to be you when they grow up? What is your mindset going into this year, and how is it different than if you were going in to tune F-sharp chords or to work on fingerings or teach conducting?
Going into the Vanguard specifically?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I'm going to make a really strong effort to do is just simply to try to stay focused on my role, what my role is. Because the Vanguard is a great organization. They do a great job of bringing in the best and brightest people to do the things that they're supposed to do. And my role as a ranger is principally to create an incredible product and to try to help guide that product and the sound of the ensemble overall to being what it needs to be by the end, So I think there's probably some intersecting layers within that, certainly because of my experience as a teacher, I'm going to be helping influence and guide and certainly teach at different times, with the brass being my primary area.
Correct.
But we have great people to do that, with Mark, the brass caption head. I'm so impressed by him already, and I didn't know him. He works with your brother.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Mark Nichols is the brass caption head of the Vanguard, and he's been at Brazoswood High School in Clute, Texas, assistant band director. Yes, working with my brother, Martin Montoya, band director, Brazoswood High School. So continue.
Yeah, Evan, so I'm so impressed with him. Katie's going to be super helpful. My dad as well. We've got the new athletic bands director, or one of the directors at the University of North Texas, Dan Cook, who, little known fact, I marched with back in the day at the Carolina Crown.
That has got to be wild.
We were both, reasonably okay trumpet players.
So you played trumpet.
So having him connected is going to be integral.
What part did you play when you marched?
I got to play all three parts
at once. Oh my God.
Not at once.
They created a new part
years.
for you,
and then eventually the drum corps performed beyond my skill level, and they took me and put me on the podium.
That's what they do, right? Well, we don't want to kick them out. We got to put them somewhere.
And thank God they did for their sake.
Fun fact about Dan is I knew him when he student taught at Harrison High School.
Oh, really?
Way back in the day. That's how I first met him, because I was writing for them, and he was a nice, quirky, fun student teacher. He's like very excited about band. So
yeah, he's awesome.
There we go.
So there's a lot of great people, and that's just the brass section. There's so many people who do great work that my focus is going to be just to try to focus on my role. And influence to the best that I can. Ultimately, as I try to step back and think overall, like I kind of said initially, it's trying to do right by the people that are there. Both adults and maybe more importantly, the students.
For sure.
They commit a lot, I mean, financially and time-wise, and it's a huge, huge commitment that they're making.
It really is.
Where they could be going anywhere else,
to the beach.
Yes,
right. They're already in California. Why might as well just go to the beach?
So I feel a real sense of responsibility to create something great, both in terms of product and also experience. Yeah,
and you were talking about some of the other strengths of that organization. I don't know if anybody who knows drum corps knows this, but Vanguard has a really good drum line. Like really good. You should really look into them.
5 of 6, percussion trophies.
Could you say they're the percussion version of the Carolina Crown brass line?
At least.
Yeah, I mean, how many brass captions has the Vanguard won as of late? I mean, sorry, Carolina Crown. Boy, that's awful. Send your angry letters to me.
I think it was 7 of the last 11 years or something like that is what it was. The first one was 2009. The first Jim Ott from Crown was 2009.
It's amazing to me that was the first one.
That was the first one. Yeah, 2009.
Wow.
So and I think over the course of 11 years, they've not won 4 of the times. That's what it was. Yeah.
Wow. And so it's like the 3 things you can depend on in drum corps is Crown winning brass, Vanguard winning percussion, and the Blue Devils winning, right?
Well, they're pretty good.
You know what? I think they are.
They are. They
Insider
certainly
secret.
have
You heard it here first.
Out.
Yeah. This is the kind of info you'll get on this podcast that no one else will tell you. The Blue Devils are good.
Nobody. Yeah. Hot take.
Hot take. Yeah. So working with your wife, working with your dad, and you haven't experienced this yet, but I wonder if it's going to be like in the middle of the night, you roll over and Katie's going over the score, cursing your name because it's like, Evan, get up and change this. Evan, why did you do this? Evan, B flat was right there. Why didn't you do that, Evan?
I'm sure I'm going to get lots of feedback in all kinds of ways that I could not even begin to anticipate today. So.
Lots of feedback. Yes. That's the best way to put it. Yeah. But hey, you'll have a lot of fun, right?
Yeah. It's, I mean, why do we do this? Anyway, it's supposed to be fun, right?
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be fun.
That's what they tell you. All right, so let's say that let's go to marching band. Let's not be specific to the Vanguard because, top secret, all that other stuff, non-disclosure agreements. Let's say you've had design meetings and discussions, whatever. Let's pick a program, whatever one you want to call it. The Philadelphia Eagle High School Marching Band, all right?
Right.
The theme, the concept, the design has been decided. You are sitting down and going to arrange, let's pick a song you don't know, The Promise of Living by Aaron Copland. I don't know why that popped in my head. All right, take us through that process. Go.
To arrange for a high school marching band?
Let's say, that you're going to arrange that particular piece. What do you do? How do you do it?
Lord.
Let's talk about it.
There's a lot.
There is.
And probably if you sat 10 good arrangers in a room and asked them this question, they'd probably all have a different way of
Correct. Well,
doing it.
luckily I've got you here. So.
and no way of doing it, I would say, is wrong, I would say.
It's
it's different,
I mean, there are wrong ways, but no.
Decisions, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of coming at this from two polarized areas. There's the creative side, right, of like trying to do something that's fresh and new and fits with the concept and that kind of stuff, while also closely married to the idea of they have to play this well, what a high school band can do is really. It's I think it's more limiting than a lot of times people believe than it actually is. There's very few, if not, maybe none, high school marching bands that can really do anything. You have your Vandegrift's and your Hebrons and your those Flower Mounds and those people where they're enormous and they have just a great middle school, high school, beginning to end. They've got a zillion kids, and also really great teachers. And even those ensembles have their limitations, right?
True.
So it's a constant tug and pull for me between those two things. Like, how do I create something that's well paced and fits with the concept and is effective and has fresh moments and all of that. And kind of checks the boxes competitively that you're trying to check, for whatever, whether it's UIL or Bands of America or a different state or whatever, while at the same time doing that in a way that is functional and, you're in good keys and is not too difficult and, there's not too many parts and all of that kind of stuff. So I guess that would be sort of a bird's eye view of like, this is the thoughts that I have when I'm sitting down and just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
If I was going to just like, okay, so what's like step number one?
Sure.
Step number one is like for me going through and figuring out just a basic outline of pacing. Like where. Like, how am if I was going to take this piece and I'm going to cut it up into a marching band and I have this much time to do this idea, what's the objective? Is this the beginning? Is it an intro where I've got like a minute 15 where we're going to go from soft to loud and big?
Yeah, right.
Is this an opener where I'm going to have some ups and downs and kind of, different variety of feel through all that? Is there connecting tissue from it to what happens before it or to after it? How does that factor in? So you kind of create that framework. Or what is it? I think about what is the Star Wars, the graph in Star Wars about? You know what I'm talking about? What is that?
Is it the golden ratio or
something
like
like
that?
Talk
about, they put all the movies and you see where the climax is,
right?
And the divots and
right. So there are those rules about marching band to me as well. With but at the same time, like you try to find ways to not do that. Right. In a way that also still works, but there's those same kind of rules. So you figure that out, and then a lot of times I will put the music I'll start to just kind of when I figure that out, take the music that's there and just get it into the computer.
Okay.
On some level.
What notation program do you
Finale.
Use? Finale.
Use Finale.
Oh my gosh, Evan, that's a hot take right there. I use Finale.
So, and then, once I have kind of those building block pieces in there, and it's rough, like a really, really rough blocked out basic idea, then you start messing around with, okay, so key signature. Okay, so that's been a thought from the beginning. Yeah. But key signature, where's the melody going to lie the best? And then how much time from a pacing standpoint is this going to build to an arrival? And how am I going to build that? And what soloists and just all kind of, and then you just kind of dropping things in the right places and kind of chipping away at the block until hopefully you have something good in the end.
Well, if you're working with a Copland piece, you've got a lot of good.
Right. If they give you the copyright.
Well, that's a whole. You know what? That wasn't on my list of questions, but Evan, What do you think about copyright these days? Now, I'm not asking what do we think about should we be able to use music for free? Because that's I don't think anybody as a teacher or arranger, we're not saying we want to use music for free. And this isn't a discussion about how we obtain copyright. That's a whole nother thing. But we have encountered in the past the Bernstein estate. Sometimes they were declining works. And now Copeland, the estate's being real fishy about whether they're approving works that we've been using forever.
They are.
I think to me, the greatest crime about that is we cannot expose some of these kids to these works. And it's like, come on, yes, somebody could write an original work that sounds like The Promise of Living, but nothing's going to beat playing The Promise of Living as it is. That seems like a big injustice and goes against what I imagine, without speaking for them, what Copeland and Bernstein might actually feel about that kind of thing.
There's already a struggle in marching band to connect, from a music education standpoint, the specific, like just the specific music side of music education to the activity of marching. There's so many other things about it which are great, but not the music part of music education and exposure to repertoire and things like that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would probably find when they reflect on, especially if it's somebody who participated in high school marching band that is now not in the music world, and they reflect back on their marching band experience, if they know any classical music at all whatsoever, it probably is something that they experienced performing in their marching band.
Yeah.
Probably.
And Looney Tunes.
And Looney
If
Tunes.
you're a certain
right.
age.
And Looney Tunes.
Or if you were in the Cedar Park Marching Band, it was both.
Both.
Yeah, there you go.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, Evan. I never knew about those pieces.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, to me, I understand that there's a certain sense of wanting to protect the integrity of the music, and certainly I can respect that perspective. For sure. But at the same time, it's a shame that we're limited in terms of what we can expose students to. To me, it's a great tool that I want to use to its fullest extent. And when we run into roadblocks like that with especially some of the greatest pieces of music of all time, I just personally feel disappointed that I'm not going to be able to be part of a team that's trying to expose a new generation to this great literature.
Yeah. I'm going to probably misuse the word irony, but it's ironic that the organization that's responsible for us adding so many years to the ability to use a piece of music because of public domain is responsible for the theme parks that you love so much. It's that Disney rule where it's 75 years after death, or because, for those who don't know, shorthand version, the public Mickey Mouse was going to become public domain.
Yes.
But then Disney, I don't know how they did it. I guess they have money, figured out. And so it's 75 years now after death, after 1935, I believe. So, so that's not the case with the Copeland organization. He passed away in 1999. But some of these pieces stayed in copyright a lot longer because of Walter Elias Disney.
That's true. And, I don't know that I necessarily that I take issue with, people wanting to maintain copyright,
Correct.
like that.
Yeah.
I get it. They've done incredible work that should be remembered forever.
Yeah.
And to some degree, they should continue to make money on that work because it's their work.
For sure.
But at the same time, I guess for me, it's more about just when you don't let people use it for educational purposes. That's where I feel disappointed at the lost opportunity.
Agreed. And I think part of the issue is, with my experiences, these big publishing houses, they just think of marching band as like nothing, right? And so they just have this blanket, well, we don't want Promise of Living to be in a beer commercial, so we're going to decline copyright. And we're like, well, we just want to use it in marching band. Well, sorry. Or conversely, when like the Beatles organization or Pink Floyd or The Who, they charge astronomical mechanical sync rights, because to them a DVD for a marching band is the same as doing a commercial. They want the same amount of money. Right. There's no differentiate. They don't differentiate between the two. So I think there's that element of they don't really understand what we do or what we're trying to do, and really how little money they can make from marching band.
Well, here's the good news of all that is, it seems to me, and we may both have a kind of a sideways perspective on this just because of the world that we live in.
Right.
But it seems to me that just the general sense about copyright and what it is, and how important it is, and just being aware of it. It seems to be growing.
Yeah.
People seem to be more aware of it, and my hope is that at some point, it'll reach those people who are that maybe have the misunderstanding that you were just describing, and we would start to see some change, such that educationally we can do more for kids, without as many roadblocks, while still doing right by the copyright holders.
Absolutely. Copyright law is very archaic. When they wrote those laws, they didn't know about the internet. We didn't know about the internet, right? They didn't know about MP3s and DVDs or EVDs, if you will. Oh, that's where they got it from.
I see.
Wow.
I see what you did there.
Wow. Hot take number 2 or 3, man. This is we should rename this podcast Hot Take.
Hot Take.
Evan. All right. So now we get to the questions that I'd like to ask everybody.
Okay.
Now, unlike the presidential debates, I don't think you've gotten these questions beforehand. Evan, what inspires you?
Oh, well, it's such an open-ended question.
It is. You can go
there's
anywhere.
There's a lot of things. I'll tell you something that inspires me a lot. Underdog stories. Underdog stories.
If only there was like a sports example you could give us.
I mean, that's why, to be honest, that's why my favorite time of year sports-wise is the NCAA basketball tournament.
Yes, you have experience with that. Yeah.
I love that because because you see, I guess if I were to go even more to its core, I love seeing people who care about what they're doing accomplish their goals, reach their dreams. And you see that when people win championships, or Olympians participate in the Olympics, and and it means different things for different people. Sometimes it's something like winning a gold medal at the Olympics, and sometimes it's something that's not that, or sometimes it's just literally doing a thing or overcoming an obstacle, or whatever that is. That is inspiring to me. Like that I get goosebumps when I think about that idea. Yeah. That is probably the thing that gets to me at my core, more than probably almost anything else. Wow.
Were you at Butler when they went to the championship 2 years in a row, right?
It was 2 years in a row, and it was the 2 years after I graduated.
Oh, so you were already down here.
I was already
in the greater Austin area.
Already down here in the greater Austin area.
Your hair was spiky back then.
My hair was spiky.
Short and spiky. You didn't have the beard.
Funny story about that. So obviously, I was pissed that I wasn't there. I wanted to be there so bad. And I think that the first year of the championship, I think, was in Indianapolis, where I went to college. Right. So I was like, I was just right. I was right there. But I was so excited. And it was my first year teaching down here, and we had some kind of event on the championship night, as all band directors do. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So and I was trying to pay attention to my phone and do that, and I got home, and it was such a close game, right? That was the Duke game? It was against Duke. They took him to the wire. Gordon Hayward, half-court shot, almost went in at the buzzer, and I ran home as fast as I could, turned the TV on, watched the last minute of the game, exactly how you'd imagine, standing up, shouting at the screen, all of those things, and just heart-wrenching.
If only you were there, Evan.
If only I was there.
You might have been the tipping point.
Well, and then inexplicably, the next year they go back.
They did.
And, this time I wasn't going to miss the game. I didn't go there because tickets are like $1 zillion.
Where was it that year? Do you remember?
It was in Houston.
Oh my gosh.
So an arm's reach,
enough,
right?
Yes.
But I couldn't, I just, I couldn't. I was, 22. I couldn't afford tickets.
Yeah.
So
you had just bought a brand new car for your mom. You bought a house, just like athletes do. Yeah.
But I wasn't going to miss the game, at least on TV. So I had a bunch of people over to my tiny apartment. We weren't friends.
Oh, why? I didn't want to be my friend, Evan.
I don't think it was.
I should have called this.
The other way around.
Will You Be My Friend? Oh, Conan has a podcast called Will You Be My Friend. That's why we didn't call it that.
I had all these people over, and they were playing UConn. I was like, oh, it's not even Duke. Where it's we're gonna do this. We couldn't do it last year. We're gonna do it this year, and that. And someone may correct me on this, but I believe it is the statistically worst performance by an NCAA college team of any sport,
of
any gender.
Oh my God!
In a championship game,
even the women's basketball playing UConn women's team.
But the team scored 3 field goals, 3 shots from the field, 3.
Wait, Butler? I don't remember.
In the first half.
Oh, I was like, oh my.
In the first
they
half.
got their butt
It was bad. I mean, and I had all these friends over, and I was all set up, and no one else cared about this game except for me.
They cared about you,
but
though.
Great friends. They cared about me. They came over to support me watching the team, and it was just the most debilitating, dejecting.
Oh my god.
I mean, it was a terrible championship game.
Wow.
I haven't been back since. Although I do love my Butler Bulldogs.
Yeah. Now I'm surprised you're not a Boston Celtics fan now because that head coach is with Boston.
Yes, Brad Stevens is
Bradley
awesome.
Stevens,
And
another young-looking gentleman such as yourself, Evan. What is in the water in Indianapolis, Indiana?
We may never know.
Yeah.
But I do. To be fair, while I don't know that I would root for any NBA team specifically. Like I don't have an allegiance to an NBA team like I do the NFL.
Right.
But I do love me some Brad Stevens.
He's a good guy.
He's
a good coach.
He is one. I think he is. I mean, if he's not considered one of the greatest coaches of all time, I think he's soon to be. He's got a long career ahead of him.
He very well could be like the Coach K of the NBA.
Yes.
Or
somebody.
Yeah, Popovich. And I'm always very upset with you, but for this particular reason, you didn't mention that we are in Spurs country.
We are.
Spurs, 5-time NBA champion.
Absolutely.
No other basketball team in this state. I mean, you add the Rockets and Mavericks championships together, and still doesn't even equal what the Spurs have won. But anyway.
I would say when it comes to Texas NBA teams, if I was going to root for one of them, it would be the Spurs.
The San Antonio Spurs. That's
absolutely.
Thank you.
Low Spurs.
Low Spurs.
Go Spurs, go.
You're Spanish from being from New Jersey. Impeccable. Like if I close my eyes, I'm talking to a Mexicano for sure. Evan, what is your most prized possession?
My most prized possession.
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
Lord?
Wow.
Okay.
I would possession. I mean, I love my family, but I wouldn't say I would possess them. That's not a possession.
No, it's not. At least not in this day and age.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I would say. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know. There's anything that I like. Like, God forbid, my house caught on fire.
I was going to say that if Katie grabbed Cooper, what do you grab when you're running out of the house?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think. I'm really trying to think right now. I mean, like there's nothing. There's no material thing that I have that is more important than the things that I don't own but I cherish in my life. Like my dog and my family and the relationships that I have with people. And,
of course.
So I don't know. I don't know that I have a good answer for that question.
Fine.
I will say this. I use my AirPods a lot. Like a lot. I resisted buying those things for years.
That is the most millennial thing to say.
I know.
My
so
AirPods.
I would lose them, and I bought them maybe. I bought like a cheap Bluetooth headset, and I enjoyed the ability to talk without my we spend a lot of time on the phone with clients and different people, whatever.
All the time. Text messaging is so good, by the way. Anyway.
But but I use those things. I mean, they I wear the battery almost every day, at least once.
Good for you. Good for you.
So I guess that's a well-used.
All right, that's a well-used possession.
Thing.
Yes, I suppose because when my wife and we talk about what would happen if there's a fire. Obviously, it's my wife, my daughter, our dog, and if it's all covered, then I'm like, one of us has to grab my auxiliary hard drive because that has everything, and it's the size of a credit card.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to grab something like
laptop.
but it's all. I mean, it's all backed up. It's all.
Oh, you're one of the cloud guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's backed up 3 or 4 different ways.
That's the way you got to do it, man. Yeah. Google Drive, Dropbox, and an external
Dropbox, something like a hard drive in the house.
Do you have one in a fire-resistant safe in your house? I don't either. But we should. Speaking of,
but then there's another one. There's another one that I did called Backblaze. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
It's just another an off-site, in addition to Dropbox.
Yeah,
it's just another backup.
In the Cayman Islands.
We may never know. I like to imagine it as what is in the second Star Wars where they're up in it with Lando and
Cloud City.
Thank you, in Cloud City. I like to imagine that's what the cloud looks like. Oh, yeah. That's just what it is in my mind. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it very well could be. I've never been up that high.
We may never know.
And the moon landing was fake. So, now, if you allow me, Evan, I want to ask a question that may be a little personal, and you can decide not to answer.
That's
it.
fine.
If you decide, we'll edit it out. You took what I understand was a monumental trip last summer, I believe, or last spring. or in the last few years?
To Israel?
Israel,
Yes. That was actually the last, was it just this past January? I think so,
right?
yeah. It was just this past January.
Because one of our colleagues most recently went this spring. She went, I believe. So could you talk a little bit about it as comfortable as you might?
Absolutely.
What it meant to you, or why you went, or what was it like? Or, hey, I'm going to Israel. It's like, holy smokes.
Yeah, so first of all, it's through this program called Birthright. So the state government of Israel, after the Holocaust, with so many Jews dying, and finally having a place where Jews can live and be safe together, for the first time in however many thousand years, there's a sense of trying to, keep people connected to their Jewish, not necessarily even religious faith, but just identity culturally, just as much as the religious aspects of it.
For sure.
So they started this program, and it's mostly, and I'm probably going to say something wrong here, but I believe that it's mostly funded, it's partially subsidized through the state government of Israel. Okay. There's a lot of private donations that fund this as well. And essentially, it's a free experience trip for anyone of Jewish heritage or descent, between the ages of 18 to what is actually, it used to be, I think, 26 or 27. Now it's 32.
So you had to take it.
So I had to take it.
Yeah.
Because I'm right there. To come back, to go to Israel, right. To kind of experience, a variety of different things about Israel, and to, just to have that experience as a part of their identity, to at least be able to say they've been there, they know what it is, they've connected with people. And the trip was really incredible. I felt a little I'm Jewish, I would consider myself a religious Jewish person, though I am pretty reformed and not super observant, as you might, like I might have a cheeseburger on Rosh Hashanah. Now it's Jewish holiday. It's like there's a lot of things that I just don't observe for sure. Better or worse or whatever. Correct. But I would consider myself a religious Jew. So I was a little anxious going on this trip, right. just, wondering so what's everyone else going to be like? And, am I going to be made to feel ashamed that right. I'm not? Because, there's in all religions, there's this element of am I going to be made to feel guilty about not doing or doing or any of those dynamics that just exist.
As a Catholic, I understand guilt, yes.
Right. So I had all those anxieties and different things. So, but it was about a 9-day trip, and wow. We went over, and it was, the guide that was there with us on the whole trip, Chen, he's awesome, was a non-religious Jew. He would consider himself, he culturally identifies as Jewish. He is a citizen of Israel, but he's not, he doesn't believe in the Jewish understanding of religion. And for whatever, it seems like an obvious option, but it was mind-blowing to me at the time that here's a way to be Jewish that is not what I thought about.
Right, yeah.
And I met all of these people who were incredible between the ages of 27 and 32 from all these different walks of life and all these different stages in their life. Some had families, some were single, some were there with a sibling. It was it was a huge hodgepodge, and everybody came from a totally different perspective. Maybe the best part about the trip, and this happens on all Birthright trips, is that the program, it doesn't just bring over the 36 or 7 Americans on the trip with your guide, but they also bring on 6 or 7 Israelis who are of that same age, again, all different walks of life, who just go on the trip with you. They're just there, and you get to know them just like you get to know any of the Americans on the trip.
Right.
And my time spent with each of them were some of the most memorable conversations that I had, because I learned so much about their perspective, all of which were different. Their opinions were all different,
sure.
And all of them, were Jewish in a totally different way, and I just didn't, for some reason, it did not click with me. I did not realize how many different ways there were to be Jewish and how okay that is.
Yeah.
So, and we saw lots of different things. We went up to the north into the Golan Heights. which you hear a lot about in the news with President Trump and all of the things that he is doing. Let's not get into that.
Why wouldn't we?
But but going up there and literally seeing the border there, seeing the fence and seeing how the country is surrounded and feeling what it must feel like to be in a country that small, essentially surrounded by countries that, empirically don't want it to exist at all on some level. Sure. And how that frames the decision making for everything that you choose to believe in your life. It was a totally different perspective. Tel Aviv, you could pick that city up and drop it anywhere. It might as well be Miami with the beach. And,
really?
I mean, it's beautiful. The weather is awesome. And then of course, like a 2-hour drive inland and you're in the desert, like literal desert. Right. You could ride a camel like we did.
Wow.
There's just so many different things. But, I had it was really life-changing. And to any Jewish person out there, I just have to say this because I've been the handful of Jewish people that I know in my network in the Austin area, of which there are not many, religiously affiliated or just not, someone who just maybe has a mom who's Jewish or a dad that's Jewish or a grandparent that's Jewish. Go find a way to go on this trip. I promise you it will change your perspective forever. It is worth the time. You have to do it.
Wow.
I was so behind on my writing when I got back. I regret nothing.
Well, that's got to be inspiring, and not only creatively, but inspiring spiritually and emotionally and just everything. So in a lot of ways, you were filling up your tank.
Totally. I mean, I came back with so many different things that I wanted to do with my music. Not in marching band necessarily, but in the concert band idiom. If someday I can ever grow into that more, there are so many things that I want to try to do that are connected to what I experienced on that trip. For others, to try to impact and influence others because of what I experienced.
Wow, yeah. What was not to make light, but what was the food like over there?
It was really good.
Yeah. Oh, there we
I'm
go.
not even sure if I could accurately name a lot of the things that I ate, just because it's all in Hebrew, right? So
right, yeah, of course.
That was another thing.
You came back learning Hebrew? You were fluent in it?
No, although I did have this incredible, one of my former students at Cedar Park is actually moved to the States from Israel.
Oh, wow.
And she made this incredible by hand, sort of dictionary.
Oh, okay.
Just was like, here's the Hebrew, here's the transliteration, here's what it means, here's how you really use it. Like if you're going to actually talk to someone, they're not going to look at you like you have 3 heads. Like that was so helpful. But anyway, I'm getting away from what I was going to say.
No, it's fine.
With Hebrew, it's, when you go to a service, a religious service, a lot of it's in Hebrew, and you don't understand what you're saying, what you would say, but it feels this very dead language. Probably a lot like, in a Catholic service when you say or do things in Latin. But what was so cool is that you pick up a newspaper over there, it's in Hebrew. Like people are talking in Hebrew the same way that we would be talking. There's somebody doing a podcast or many right now in Israel in Hebrew. And just, again, there's a really obvious, seemingly culturally insensitive thing for me to say that there's this language exists and people speak it. But when you're only used to it being this sort of almost dead feeling, old thing, and then you go to Israel and you are sitting with 2 Israelis who are so cool and so different, and they're interacting in Hebrew the same way you and I are interacting in English. Again, what an obvious thing to say. Of course that's what it is. But to experience that it's not this dead thing, that it's alive. That was really cool. Yeah,
that sounds I didn't know about it. I'm not Jewish, and I learned about it when you're like, hey, I'm going to Israel, and on Facebook posting about it. So
I had a lot of interesting reactions to that too, because all we hear about is is all the things we hear about on the news.
Correct.
Everything is colored through the lenses of U.S. domestic politics. There's a lot of different perspectives on all of the decisions that the state government of Israel makes in association with the countries around it and all of that. Right. But when I was there, I felt safe the whole time. I never had any issues. It was like everything was great, and there's so much to that country that I think it's unfortunate, probably not just for Israel, but I imagine with a lot of countries out there where we see them only through the lens presented through the American media, where there's almost this fear factor, this isolationism that, I think that if more people found ways to travel and took the risk of seeing the world, they might find that it's not quite as different as they might think.
Oh, fear sells. You know how that goes. So.
Yep.
All right.
It does.
Speaking of fear, no. In your career as a teacher, as a leadership guru, as an arranger, whatever you want to do, what are some of the mistakes that you made coming up?
Oh, God. And we could do a podcast just on this.
We should. We should just call it, I Made a Mistake.
I remember very distinctly, in high school, thinking you reach that stage of your life where you feel like you've got things figured out.
Yes.
I think that smart people realize quickly at whatever age they get to that to reach that perspective, then you start to see the things that you don't have figured out. And it's just this long process as you get smarter of just realizing the more you know, the more you don't know.
Correct.
So you're exactly. We're all on that train, right? But I remember specifically thinking in early high school that I have this figured out. I have the world figured out.
Yeah, of course.
I'm embarrassed to say that, but so you move through in college and whatever, and I get to Cedar Park and I'm so excited, and I certainly didn't think I knew everything. By no means did I think that. But I was very much in a place of learning and trying to evaluate and make sense of all of these things that I was experiencing for the first time, specifically Texas band, because I didn't grow up in Texas. Everything about it was new. A lot of the information was different than the information that I had heard. And I had the privilege of working with Steve Wessels for all 9 years at Cedar Park. And Steve is like a second father to me. I love that man like a father. He is incredible, and few people affect more change in a band, in a wind ensemble, and in the ways a wind section sounds than Steve Wessels. That guy is a miracle worker. I still don't know how he does it. I've learned and continue to use so much that I do comes directly from what he has taught me. But in the beginning, that first year or two, I didn't think that he was very good. I didn't think that he was very good. And it very quite simply, I could not hear what was getting better about what he was doing. And as a result of me not being able to hear it, I didn't believe that it was real. I only heard the things that I heard, the only things, and I wasn't able to consider the perspective that maybe I just don't hear it, or maybe I'm just not aware of it yet.
Right.
Or I couldn't make sense of that. And Steve, love him like a father, but sometimes he's not the clearest person in the world. So he couldn't explain it to me. I couldn't hear it.
Right.
And as a result, I didn't there were little things that I said and did in this first year or two or 2.5 years that I just didn't feel good about. And I'll never forget, in that third year, there being moments through the middle of that year where I started to experience actual awareness of things getting better. And I started to hear it and notice it. And it was this sort of light bulb that went off that was sort of have I been just missing this?
Yeah.
I think I've just been missing this for so far. And I immediately started to just I'm going to shut my mouth way more. I'm just going to try. I'm going to really just assume that if I don't understand it, it's not because it's not real or right. I just really don't understand it yet, and I'm going to continue to try. And looked at through that lens, I began to become more aware, not just of the brilliance of Steve Wessels, but many other people in my life who are brilliant at what they do, but maybe their perspective, they just come at it from a different angle than I do. Or they maybe what they prioritize as important is different than what I prioritize. And that was different. That was really different for me. So I consider that a huge mistake. I feel embarrassed to this day about the way that I reacted to things that I couldn't understand early on in my career. And it's a huge goal of mine, just in general, to try to be as open-minded as possible. When people have a different perspective, they have a different way of looking at it, there's probably a reason, and there's something to learn from that.
Sure. Wow, that's great. You experienced that in your early 20s, and I didn't come to that realization until my mid-30s. So,
everyone in their own time. Everyone has a different path.
At least I've realized it, right? It could be worse. It could be no, that's awful. That's all. Well, you mentioned this, and this is one of my questions. There is a point as an artist, as a teacher, as a creator, or whatever, when we realize that we are in fact good at something, or we know what we're doing. What was that moment for you? Not the high school moment you're talking about, but when you realized, like, yeah, I do know how to ... Like, what was that moment? When was that moment for you?
As a teacher?
Teacher, as an arranger, maybe you. At what point did you go, you know what? I'm walking out of this band hall forever, and I'm just going to be an arranger. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe not literally like that.
Oh, it's odd because it's almost like, you probably experienced this too. It's like there are those moments where you feel like, I think I might know what I'm doing, and then like 10 seconds later you're like, oh, I suck at this. God, I'm terrible.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the constant tug and pull of that
for sure.
all of the time to this day. And I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna try to do some edits for a band that I'm and I'm gonna go through the same thing. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Very next listen, I've changed nothing. No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Change it all.
Yeah.
I mean, as a teacher, as strange as it sounds, early on in your career, the competitive recognition, right or wrong, at least to me, it was important.
For sure.
It was. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
No.
Like that, having a group of well-respected people publicly declare that you did something well. Mm-hmm. Is good.
Yeah, it's gratifying.
is helpful.
It's dopamine, man.
It helps you feel like you're doing something right.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So, and then kind of built on that. So I mean, there was certain success. I felt like in 2011, Cedar Park won the first state championship, second in the school's history, but first I was there. Steve Wessels and Bob Krusty were there. Roland Chavez. Bob was a huge part of what we did there, and I have learned so much from him. Mm-hmm. And my role was more less from an ensemble standpoint, more up close and personal with the kids, and I felt like I did a pretty good job with that, and we saw good results from that. So sure. that was when I felt like, okay, when I'm on the field, I think I might know I think I might be able to do something good here.
Yeah.
And then we went through the next iteration. We went through the next iteration of Cedar Park. Certainly there were some concert band successes, and the band started to sound better in different moments. When Cedar Park won the next state championship in 2015, it was a really different makeup in the school. Jason Robb was a part of the staff, and we were collaborating in a very different way than we had 4 years prior.
Yep.
And I was more in the role of sort of the coordinator of the project, just trying to get all of the elements working together. And that was when I felt like, okay, I think I have the ability to coordinate people. I can get people to work together in some way, and make an ensemble play together in some way, and right. that kind of thing. And I would say as an arranger, it's more comes in moments. Like you write all this music. Maybe you experience this as well. You write all this music. And then in the fall, you get to hear some of it performed. Yeah. And there are things that when you hear it within in one 8-minute show, there's a bunch of times you're like, I maybe should have made a different choice there. Right. And then there are also those moments where it's like, yes, I nailed that. That was awesome.
Yes. Yes.
And you have that kind of back and forth, So I guess that's sort of kind of how I feel about it.
100% agree with that last statement, because the issue for me is, we grow as musicians and composers and arrangers or whatever. So when we write a show in March, that's where we are. And then we go see the band in September, and we've changed completely. We've learned some new tricks. We're inspired, and we hear it like, oh God, that really wasn't good. Or why did I do that? Yeah. And but that's who you were at that moment when you wrote that music. Right. And then you don't know how the drill's going to come out. And you don't know what the weather's going to be. And maybe the hot shot, like there's so many factors that change in the 6 months, literally, that changes from the delivery of music to when you hear it. So that's got to be for you. And I know for me, and probably for any creator, you're just like, oh, that's right. I had Red Bull that night. That's why I did that, right? Or, that's when the Spurs lost in the playoffs.
And I was just angry. So I was lots of tritones and things.
Tritones. So you mentioned this, but I want to ask specifically. So how do you feel, and this is arranger, when something that you work on succeeds? And let's put it competitive success. All right. Yes, the B flat major chord worked or whatever. But I'm talking about this past weekend, you hear that 2 of your programs make finals at the Austin Regional, which I would say is the second hardest regional in the country, behind the San Antonio Regional. And that's right, Grand Nationals is like number 3. But how does it feel like you hear that and you're like, Evan VanDoren, you've succeeded this weekend. How's that make you feel? Man?
Not to be too unoriginal here, but it feels great.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
it feels great to have contributed to that.
Yeah.
In moments like that, like I feel grateful to have had the opportunity to contribute to something like that and to be a part of it on some level. But most of that success has not come from me. Like,
right.
I feel good that I have started that organization and that group of teachers and kids with some foundation that's going to lead them on the right path. But ultimately, 98% of the reason why they made it there is because of all the designers and more importantly, the work that the band directors and the students are doing. I mean, it's great when there's a great product, but ultimately the band directors and the kids that, they have to perform well, they have to teach at a high level. And when they do, and I get to be a small part of that, it just makes me feel grateful, and it makes me feel, I feel proud to just have kind of helped lay a foundation, just to help start them out on that path. It feels good.
There's just this idea that if you hire the greatest designers in the world, your show is automatically going to be amazing and you're going to win state. They got to play in March well. Like that's at the end of the day, that's what you got to do.
And certainly the design can have a big influence on
for
that.
sure.
But, if you go and you look at the best band programs, and I'll just talk about this state because I will unabashedly say that this state has the best bands in the country.
I would agree with you.
But when you look at these band programs, I mean, like they have great designers, but it's not like those designers aren't just like, it's not over the course of 9 months they're like collaborating and adjusting and tweaking and just like investing and looking at videos on their own and and sending the band director like, hey, do this. No. Like that doesn't really happen for the most part. It's the band directors who drive the process and they look at it through all of the different angles and lenses, the performance side and the design side, and they take the feedback and they utilize the experience of the designers to execute the best possible vision for the band program. And when they're an active part of that process and they've created an environment where there's good communication between all those parties and they can really use every one of the team's best selves to contribute to that product, both designers and teachers.
Yes.
That's when the magic happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've experienced this so many times. Not so many, I say like that happens a whole lot, but I've had band directors, when they've decided to, quote unquote, move in a different direction, tell me, well, the show we played at the end of the year isn't the show you gave us at the beginning. And my answer is like, good. Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
When you do a piece on stage, you don't just go play the dynamics. Like, you shape it. Sometimes you rewrite some parts. And that's just the way you have to do it. There's no, like, here's your band show in a box. You're going to win. Like, you have to do things. Things change. Drill. Kids, just whatever. You get a flood like that. My own brother, who is I've known my whole life, right? God, he changes stuff all the time. And in fact, we were talking the other day, and he goes, "Hey, did you know we added like a tuba bass line to what you wrote?" And I go, "I had no idea." And he goes, "Yeah, we just did it, and it worked." And that's what you have to do, right? That's an understanding of the design team, the understanding of the kids, which we don't understand unless we are directly working with them, even if they are like the program right down the street. We don't know the kids the way the directors do. So they're going to make changes. They're going to make edits. And you're right. That's when the true magic happens of going from good to great or great to amazing. Look
at an NFL team. There is a strategy that before any preseason games are played, they look at the roster. They continue to make, they have their, well, that's even another layer to this, but they have their roster, they have their playbook. They have a basic, philosophy behind what they're going to do. If they never changed players, and they never people go into reserve, all this changing and trading and stuff. They never did that, and they never changed the playbook at all. It was always the exact same playbook. If in 3 games everyone have them figured out, they would lose a third to a quarter, of their players to injury, and they would never win again. Right. It's evolving. They're constantly developing their roles, and they're changing plays and tweaking things and being creative and to try to achieve the best result. And I would be willing to bet, I don't know that I could speak to any more analogies than that, but I suspect that if you were to look around, not just in competitive environments, but just in general at successful things, there is a layer of malleability to what is happening and collaboration to utilize people's strengths that allows things to be at their best. There has to be. You would think. I mean, the phrase two heads are better than one is not like a thing for no reason.
Cliche is a cliche for a reason.
Cliche is a cliche for a reason. You know?
Now, you mentioned NFL teams, and no, we're not going to talk about the Eagles again, but what we're going to talk about is fantasy football. You brought it up. This is a good segue, Evan. You trade players, you move them around. Now, for those of us who don't follow you on Facebook or who are not in the same league or who maybe didn't beat you for the championship last year in fantasy football, how are your teams doing this year?
Not good. Not good, Colin. Not doing good.
It's a bold choice.
I'm trying. I am trying so hard, Daniel, and it's just not worked out. I mean, I've got two. I'm in 2 leagues.
You are,
and both of them are not going well.
I think, aren't you 500 in our league?
I think now I am.
Now you.
I'm on a two game win streak. Thank you, Paul Pape and Martin Montoya.
Oh my gosh,
appreciate it.
Yeah,
blessings.
Bringing up the rear over there.
Thank God for that. But it's not gone. It's not been a good start for me.
Now, is your other league that you're cheating on me with? Is it a Carolina Crown League? Or
it is. It's a Crown League. Yeah.
So are they kicking you out after this?
They chose not to. I was very grateful that my friends on the brass and visual team at Crown.
But this is it. This is
not
right?
to kick
You're getting
Katie
kicked out. Now, if the Vanguard beat the Crown, you're pretty much out of this league. Right?
I guess time will tell.
We'll see what kind
On
of friends
all
they
fronts.
really are, huh? Yeah, that's true. We got it. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. So let's go back now. You had a program this weekend make finals at the regional. This very same program did not make finals last year at San Antonio. And I won't mention it by name, but if you figure it out, you know. How does that make you feel when something you work on, quote unquote, fails or doesn't succeed as much as you would like or as much as they had in the past?
It's the most terrifying thought in the world to think, what if?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if, you experience a failure and you think, what if I had done whatever? What if I had written this differently?
Sure.
What if I had picked up the phone and made a phone call more? What if I had been more present? What if I had chosen to give in more of myself? What if?
Yeah, of course.
And that is just it's an awful feeling. To be honest, it might be the feeling, the fear of failure, of that experience of that, is it could, maybe it is the thing that is the most motivating for me competitively. And certainly you feel, when you feel that sense of failure yourself, it doesn't feel great.
No.
But when other people are connected to that, that's where it really stings for me. When you feel like you have not done right by other people. I try to protect myself from that. I try to protect myself from that, but really just through effort. And trying to do right by people so that, because inevitably, you fail a lot just in general in life.
We're going to fail more than we succeed, probably.
In those moments, I can look myself in the mirror and I can confidently say, I did my best. There are things that I could have done differently, as there always are, but I did my best.
Yeah. And there are other factors that we as designers and teachers need to understand. Is you could say maybe the lead soloist had the flu or whoever they played after, or the obvious one is this particular regional for the first time changed the way they were seeding finalists, and it was a completely different thing, and it was brand new to everybody, and who knows what would have happened if it was the original way, and who knows if it'll happen again. Like, there's just any number of factors. And I'm sure that if you were to put the drill writer, the choreographer, the percussion person, they're feeling the exact same way of, oh, I let the band down. Each one of us is like, no, I let the band down. No, I let the band. Everyone.
Well, it's the sign of a good team.
Yeah, everyone wants to say, I'm Spartacus. That kind of thing. For those of you, Spartacus is not just a drum corps show. It's a movie. Yes.
Indeed.
Yes, where people stand up and say, I am Spartacus, from what I understand. I've never seen it. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Besides your family, besides your most things that you would hold dear to your heart, what can't you live without? This is more like materialistic. This is more like, you know what I have to have?
Honestly, good food.
Well, yes. Good food. What's good food to you? What's your favorite
I don't
foods?
know. I mean, I'm not...
A Philly cheesesteak, I'm sure?
I mean, who doesn't like a good Philly cheesesteak?
I don't know.
To me, good food can mean a lot of different things. But just I love food.
Sure.
There's not one kind of food that I would limit myself to, but I would say every kind of food can be done well and terribly. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty open-minded.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
even things that are bad are just like, they're different to me. Oh, that's different. That's interesting.
Interesting choice they made.
Right?
There.
It's interesting. I'll eat this. But I just, you know, just a basic concept. I love food. I could not. I mean, I logistically could not live without.
Correct.
Food.
I think none of us could live without food.
But good food, like food that is, you know, almost artistic, like on some level, or, you know, feeds your soul. You know, like it's just like, I just think it's great. And then at its highest level, you watch like the TV shows like Chef's Table and things like that. Like the people that do amazing things with food, like they're just, I mean, it's amazing to me. Amazing.
It's another world.
It's like a whole nother. It just, I could go down that rabbit hole forever.
Chefs could be literally having a podcast talking about the things people do with music. That just blows my mind. They're talking about us, Evan, right now. Yeah. If not band, Evan, and I use band in a quotation mark because that means everything that we do. What else would you be doing in life?
You know, I love sports statistics.
Really? Well, you do love sports.
I love sports. Like I would love to be the guy or girl behind the scenes when you're watching an NFL football game, and all of a sudden they pop up a statistic where it's like, you know, Peyton Manning, you know, just through his blah 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 pass, he passes such and such on the, you know, passes to the outside underneath as they're doing a somersault list. I think that's awesome.
Right. Somebody's figuring that stuff out.
The science of that is just, and it's just fascinating to me. So I love the statistics. It's more, that idea is connected closely to my love of underdogs.
Right.
You know, like I love how statistics, like how that shows you through like the lens of like how an underdog is achieving. I like that.
So does that mean Dodgeball's your favorite movie? It's a tale about underdogs, average Joes, if you will.
I do enjoy that movie. Yes,
it's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Very quotable. Besides your father, who are some of your heroes and inspirations? And your mother. Besides your father and mother, I don't mean to take away from your mother.
Would it surprise you to know that I was anticipating this question? I actually was going to answer my mom and dad.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Let's talk about. In fairness, your father is different than most fathers in that you are in an activity where your father has been in the activity and is successful and well known. So I will allow you to mention your father and your mother. Go for it. I apologize for stealing your.
Well, thunder. I guess the thing that obviously, my mom and my dad have done incredible things for our family as a mom and a dad, right? And raising me in the way that they have mentored and all of that and continue to. But, with my dad specifically, with, he and I in some ways sharing a profession, it's inspiring to see the way he impacted the people that he taught and continues to teach and how they continue to impact others and the different ways that he cares for those people. And how much that's kind of filled his cup, and continues to. I really respect that a lot, and I find value in that as well when I can help someone. That makes me feel really good, and it's always fun to think about, to use a well-known sassy phrase, you never know the true extent of your influence.
That's true.
I love, you go do a band clinic, you get in your car, you're driving home, you wonder what's going to stick, what's not, and not necessarily even just with the band directors, with the students, with any college kid that's a tech out there. Is there something that I just said or did that somebody's going to remember and it's going to help them later in a way that I could never understand? That's such a interesting and powerful idea to me. I would also say too, and I already brought him up, but Steve Wessels is also a personal hero of mine. I continue as I experience people in the world and then reflect on the many experiences that I had with him and the choices that he chose to make with me along the way. My understanding of how much he really cares for others continues to grow. And it's little things. It's things like the more I come to understand how difficult the job of head band director is, in ways that I'll never truly understand because I've never done that job, but I'm just exposed to more of.
Yeah.
The more powerful it is to me that there were so many times that when I didn't understand something or I wanted to challenge him on something just asinine, that he would stop what he was doing, knowing that it was going to take 30 minutes out of his life with his family later on that night, turn his chair to me, fold his hands, give me his full and undivided and genuine attention, and genuinely try to receive the thought that I was having, and not just try to direct my thoughts, but really like invest in me. There's no words,
Yeah.
There's really not.
That's amazing to have 3 of these types of figures in your life.
Yeah.
Some barely get 1. So
yeah, I mean,
good for
and
you.
yeah, I just got lucky. Straight up, I just got lucky.
Good for you. Good for you. What is your first memorable drum corps, marching band, winter guard moment?
So in 2001, my first year with the Lehigh Valley Knights.
And now, where is Lehigh Valley?
So the Lehigh Valley is an area of Pennsylvania near Philadelphia.
Okay.
It's sort of like a commonly known just kind of
Is it?
area of multiple kind of townships
Okay.
that are sort of suburbs of Philadelphia.
Now,
So
in 2001, that means there were Div 1, Div 2, and Div 3 corps, correct?
There sure
And that
was.
was based on size. So is Lehigh
Yes.
Div 3?
yes,
Which
so-
means 60 and below?
Yeah, yes, 60
Okay.
and below.
So that was the
That's-
old, like, Div 60 or whatever they called it.
That's exactly
Okay,
right.
so continue.
Exactly. So finals were in Buffalo.
New York, yeah.
At this point, I was super drum corps nerd. Like I was 14.
I don't know how you would
I was
have been a drum
finally
corps
I
nerd.
was finally in a drum corps. I had been around drum corps forever. I was so excited to be in one, and just to be at DCI finals in any capacity.
Sure.
Was the cool just to be in the same town as where the
course.
stadium was.
Yeah.
Was the coolest thing of all time. So they had an opening ceremonies back then.
Oh.
And at opening ceremonies, they brought in a guest conductor, and all of the drum corps of all divisions filtered into the stadium, were on the field somewhere or in the stands.
Wow.
And everyone played the thing that you played at retreats through, because back at that time, retreat was a thing
Yeah, it
every
was-
night.
yep.
And it was the America O Canada
That's
arrangement,
right.
right?
Yes,
So, so I'm surrounded by just like, oh, here's the Blue Devils and here's the Santa Clara Vanguard. These people that are just like they're kids, but they like at the time it was
Yeah.
like they're gods. These are just like, oh my god, I'm just in the presence of celebrity, just surrounded
Right.
by it.
You
My
probably
eyes
were.
are just all of that. And we get in the stadium, and I'm all excited and blah blah blah. We're gonna play. It's gonna be the coolest thing. This is the best moment of my life so far. And up walks onto the conducting zone, whatever it was, podium or whatever. This really frail looking man, like old, like really old.
Yeah.
He had like long hair, and it was like this guy seems really weird. And then we put our horns up, and he started to conduct, and I could barely read his pattern. I was like, wait, what is this not drum major old man doing? Conducting like I was almost offended. Like why? like what? Like I didn't know who it was and whatever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a letdown. But it was cool to play with everybody there. So
Right.
and I came to find out later in my life.
Yes.
I think I learned this at the time, but I came to find out later in my life that was Frederick Fennell.
Yep.
That was Frederick Fennell.
Wow. Talking about mistakes, huh?
Yeah, like how could there be like what I talked about with how I didn't understand why Steve Blessels was good? Like there it is, early in my life. Like here's like one of the greatest men that's ever lived in our profession.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this old guy? He can't even conduct.
Yeah.
Like,
Jeez. I could do better, and I'm 14.
oh my God. Yeah. So that is one of the more clear early memories for me of drum corps.
Wow, I don't know that.
Who
can beat that?
I also remember in 2002, after my second year at the Lehigh Valley Knights,
Oh,
finals
yes.
were in Madison.
You were a veteran. Uh-huh.
I was a veteran.
That's
Yes. I had second year syndrome real bad. And at the time I was thinking, okay, this has been great. I think it might be time for me to maybe explore going to a different drum corps, like someone that's bigger, and I'm just going to, I'm getting
Sure.
older. I'm going to try to maybe do something different. So we went and we watched semifinals. We went all the way up the top and we went to watch semifinals. 2002, and I don't remember who came on first, but I watched the Madison Scouts come on the field, and that was not a good year for them. They were like 17th or something like that.
That was the year that they did not make finals for the first time, correct?
Yes.
Because it was in Madison. That
Yes.
was a sucker punch of
Yes.
sucker punches right there.
And I was like, I don't know a lot, but I know this is bad, and I don't know where I'm gonna march, but I know one thing: it ain't gonna be there.
Oh my God.
And then Crown came on after them, and I was like, I couldn't march there either. There's no way that's not going to happen.
Was that their gods? And here, yes. that was the only time they didn't make finals in their run, right, or something like that.
That is correct. Yes. Turns out those were the only two organizations that I marched Crown, and then I worked for Crown in Madison for almost all of my drum corps professional life up until now, which I thought was really interesting how that worked out. Because I very vividly was like, imagine the same kid that was like, who's this old guy, Fred Fennell?
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, well, I ain't going there, and I ain't going there.
Right.
And that's where I went.
Man,
so, never say never.
You've made a lot of mistakes in your life, Evan. What is your favorite drum and or bugle corps show of all time?
I can't choose that.
Yeah, you can.
No, it's I don't.
Pick one you didn't march. How about that? Or just pick one of the Lehigh Valley Nights shows.
God. I mean, there's so many that are
today. What is like? Pick one of the modern era, right? Like the ones that the kids all know with B flat horns and electronics and whatever. The unreal version of drum corps according to the planet.
I mean, some of the ones in the last 10 years that I have really appreciated. I'll always remember that Crown 2012 show, of which I was not a part of. I was at the Scouts that year, just because, quite frankly, I thought Leon May and Michael Clash were just off their rockers, like because what they asked those kids to do was crazy, and then they did it. That just from an intensity level, that drum corps was just unbelievable. So that sticks in my mind.
Sure.
I've always loved, what Scott and Michael and Andy did with the Mad World show in 2010 with Cavaliers. To me, that show it's kind of a master class in like effective concept design because of the way that they chose to handle it. And I have some first person memories of that summer, of which I was on the road with Crown, where that product to me did not start off very strong.
No, it did not.
And then over the course of the year, like there were just so many impressive and smart adjustments that we're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was such a smart product. I remember the Fellini-esque Blue Devil show.
Yeah.
That one even took me a year or two to like really appreciate, but it was so well crafted from an aesthetic standpoint and a coordination standpoint. I mean, it was just beautiful. That was sort of a smattering of different things. Of course. And then, of course, like historically, you have the ones that changed drum corps history. You get your 83 cadets and your 93 star. And you might also say 93 cadets also.
Some would.
Some would. 2000, early 2000s Cavaliers.
Oh, for sure.
There's those drum corps that changed the course of history, and I'm leaving some out. But
Correct. Yeah, and I think most recently, I think you could argue that Blue Coat's Downside Up is one of those shows that altered the visual landscape of marching band and drum corps, because who wears regular uniforms anymore?
Nobody.
Wow.
Almost nobody. Yeah, it's wild walking around in deep drum corps lots and you've got no idea who anybody is.
Exactly. Yeah, and some of the last holdouts kind of changed a little bit. You know? So that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
In one word, Evan, describe your arranging style. Just one word. You can hyphenate it if you need to. But
well, I don't know if this is maybe the one word, but I would certainly. This is probably the first word.
Okay, first word's work.
Probably clear.
Clear.
Clear would be the word I would use to describe.
That is a very clear word.
Clear. That's important to me.
Yeah. Clarity.
The clarity of what's written, how it's going to be performed, the clarity of the musical intent, that the elements that are written work together to produce a clear idea that will then clearly translate to the field. It's probably, I would say clear.
That's a good word. That's a really good word. Thank you for that word. You're
very welcome for that word.
We were all here when Evan VanDoren invented the word clear.
I most certainly did not.
I think so. What is next for Evan VanDoren? Like, we are currently recording October 2nd, 2019, the year of our Lord. We're all heavily in fixing marching band show modes, in design modes for drum corps. Like, what is your next project? What's about to happen for you?
Well, obviously Vanguard's huge. We've already gotten started with that. So,
and you're going to reveal the 2020 Vanguard production on this podcast. Thank you, Evan. Let's hear it.
I'll just share it with you, Daniel. If and maybe you can just.
I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna have to bleep this out.
Okay.
Leave it in, but just bleep it.
I'm gonna cut it right here.
The Vanguard show is.
Oh my God, Evan. I wish that I could.
So keep that to yourself.
I don't know. I wish I could get up and run around right now. That sounds so clear.
It's going to be pretty spectacular.
Pretty clear.
So anyway,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think it will be pretty clear when it's all said and done. But so obviously I have the Vanguard thing. You know,
I'm so excited for it.
You know, developing that and working on that already.
So the Vanguard
thing's huge on my mind, obviously. You know, I'm trying, you know, we're in a time of the competitive season where a lot of band programs have just gotten their first sets of feedback from adjudicators. So some of those groups are now, you know, I'm in conversations with, you know, helping them make intelligent adjustments to what they have to try to maximize what they have for the next 4 weeks. Sort of that. And I go to one or sometimes two rehearsals every day of people that are mostly in the Austin area that are my clients that I'm trying to help. Or sometimes I go to Vanderbilt and I chase, you know, tubas around in the field or whatever, just to try to help, you know, the set of eyes there for my
for sure.
awesome wife and they're a great team. And I have a couple concert band things coming up. You know, I'm connected with Robert W. Smith, who's a close family friend, and he has allowed me to have some opportunities with his publishing company to do some different things. So I have a couple projects, you know, with kind of lower grade 2, grade 3 arrangements that I'm starting to mess around with. Cool transcription project coming up to be revealed at a later time. It's going to be exciting. So, and then of course, kind of, you know, as I'm sure you are as well, getting ready for the end of the marching season from a sort of...
Is there really an end to the marching season?
No, there's not. But from I guess the cycle begins again.
Correct.
Anew.
Yes, that's right.
You know, just getting organized with that and trying to, changes, you know, the way just how you want to organize yourself in different approaches. And, you know, I sort of nerd out sometimes about sort of the business logistical side of being the solopreneur thing, which is cool.
That's good.
You
I
know,
like a portmanteau. Good for you.
Anyway, so that's sort of my world right now, and you know, trying to be a supportive husband to an awesome band director wife that has a crazy job and a good dog dad, and
that's very important. Yes, employee of the month for VanDoren Music, undisputed, just undefeated, really
undefeated. Impressive.
Very impressive.
To say the least.
Yeah, we could all aspire to be like Cooper VanDoren.
Couldn't we, though?
I think. Yeah, we all could. Is there anything you want to plug, Evan? If this was a celebrity talk show, you would talk about a movie that's dropping this weekend or a new book or your album called My Album is Dropping This Week is actually dropping this week. What do you want to plug? Website, social media, merch line, apparel?
I mean,
Vanguard?
Plug. Well, I guess if I do get to plug something.
Plug whatever you want, Evan.
I have just...
Millions of people are listening to this.
You know, one of the big reasons why I, you know, decided that I wanted to have this lifestyle that I have now as an arranger, as a freelancer, it's really two things. I love creating music. I love that. The act of doing that, the process of talking about it with other people, the collaboration of that, I love that. The other thing that I love to do is I love helping band directors just do better and teach better and all of that. So, and I am continuing to try to explore effective ways that I can do that in a timely fashion, in a fashion that does not require, you know, like a lot of cost or money. So, and I just have gotten some things going on my website, VanDoren-music.com. Where I can maybe do some things through, you know, video clinics live or virtual clinics where I can maybe try to give feedback in different ways to different people wherever you are on your own time, you know, without something because band directors have no time and it shouldn't be devoted to something other than really the limited time you have should be devoted to teaching the students. So,
right. Yeah.
You know, I'm excited about, you know, having a way to just help more people, to be honest with you. So that's exciting for me. And, you know, if you're out there and you're listening and you need help, you know, go to my website, reach out to me. You know, I would love to try to help you teach your kids better.
And that website address again is?
VanDoren, VanDoren -music.com.
I'll probably put that in some sort of description below so people can click on it.
Pod notes,
Pod
if you
notes.
will.
Is that what they're called?
Podcast notes. I shortened podcast to pod.
You know what? Portmanteaus were my thing, Evan. I don't appreciate you coming on my podcast and like, you know what? I'm taking that from you. You've been usurped. Great. So let's call this podcast
Usurped.
Evan, it has been a pleasure to have you here today. You are an absolute delight. I'm not sure if anyone has ever told you this, and if not, I want to be the first one to say you're a really nice guy, Evan.
Oh, thanks.
Have people ever told you that?
Sometimes.
That's so weird.
Sometimes. I'm honored. And no, seriously, thank you for the opportunity to hang out, and this has been really fun.
Yes, you live so far away.
So far.
Not in an Austin area code or zip code. Cedar Park, Texas? Leander, Texas?
Cedar Park, Texas.
Cedar Park, Texas. Home of the Fighting Cedar Parks?
The T-Wolves.
Explain to me how does one put their T-Wolves up?
Oh, it's once you learn, you never forget. You take your middle finger and your ring finger.
Yes.
You flatten them out and you make them touch each other.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you bring that down as a flat surface, and between your first and second knuckle, you make contact with the padded part of your thumb.
Oh.
From there, you extend the first finger and pinky finger straight up into the air, such that you're now created the illusion of a snout, if you will, and ears.
Wow.
Like a
timberwolf?
And then you just droop slightly because it's not like a horned.
Right.
It's a canine. It's a timber wolf.
It's a canine.
Right? It's a canine. And then you simply extend that same hand shape straight upward
in the air
to take that timber wolf and put it up.
Oh my gosh.
And that is how you get your T-Wolves up. At least the first half. The second half of it is more of it's a mindset. It's a state of mind.
Pride.
It's a spirit. It's a pride. It's yes.
Are your eyes with pride?
In a way.
This episode of Sketchbook Podcast is hosted by, edited, and produced by me, Daniel Montoya Jr., in Austin, Texas. Our logo is created by John Suh of Purpose Designs, and our music is provided by Epidemic Sound. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @SketchbookPod, and to send us questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns, email us at sketchbookpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and as always, I am Montoya. As Overlord, all will kneel, trembling before me and obey my brutal command and communication.
1, 2, 3. I'll move the mic closer.
Yeah, you can move it closer. You can adjust it however you'd like.
Yes, let's do that.
However, yes, he's adjusting currently.
I know how to adjust.
Do you know how to adjust microphones now?
More or less.
Do you have a degree in
all those years as the jazz band director at Cedar Park High School.
See, this is the kind of information.
I
might put this. We might put this in somewhere else, even though it's not part of the actual.
All of my illustrious experience as a jazz band director.
We're going to start with that. We're going to Evan.
Well, my finest moment as a jazz band director at Cedar Park High School clearly was the Friday before the Eagles won the Super Bowl, when it dawned on me that I needed to arrange the Philadelphia Eagles fight song.
Yes.
And then had them perform it the next day. And I did it under the guise of trying to get them to getting them to do it for Mike Bishop.
Right.
Which, my best friend Mike. He's huge Eagles fan. So that was the way, because they don't think those kids didn't like the Eagles. Half of them don't like football.
Well,
but
if they like the Cowboys, they must not really like football.
But they did it for Mike. So, and ultimately I got what I wanted. So
I think you posted that video, didn't you?
And I continue and will continue to post it.
I think you should. That's Absolutely. A fine tradition. Yeah. Your coup de grace or coup d'etat, one of those. And we'll get to this later, or maybe by the point we put this in the podcast, maybe you have a certain Division I drum corps perform that arrangement in an encore.
That would be incredible.
Are there any shows
I don't know if I
in
have
the
that kind of.
Philadelphia
I don't know
area?
if I have that kind of pull yet.
If only you knew the brass caption hit or the assistant brass caption hit in some intimate way.
If only.
Yeah.
If only.